Have you ever stood before a towering mountain, feeling overwhelmed and wondering if there's a shortcut to its peak? Have you ever embarked on a journey with great enthusiasm, only to soon lose heart when immediate results weren't apparent? If the answer is yes, then the story of a young man named Ethan might just be the guiding light for your own path. In a small village nestled at the foot of a mountain lived a young man named Ethan. Ethan was intelligent, quick-witted, and harbored grand ambitions. He dreamed of one day building a solid foundation for himself, becoming a useful member of society and earning everyone's respect. However, Ethan had a fatal flaw. He lacked patience. He always wanted immediate results. He threw himself into every endeavor with the fervor of a blazing fire, but that fire would just as quickly dwindle when faced with the first challenges. He tried learning to draw, but gave up after a week because his strokes were still clumsy. He tried starting a business, but closed it after only a month because he hadn't seen any profit. For Ethan, the longest path was always the most tedious, and he was constantly preoccupied with finding shortcuts, mysterious trails that could lead him to success overnight. Gradually, one failure after another eroded his self-confidence, leaving behind a weary and doubtful spirit. Hearing villagers whisper that on the high mountain peak lived a Zen master named Silas, who could see into people's hearts and offer invaluable guidance, Ethan decided to embark on a journey, hoping to find answers to his predicament. After a full day of climbing treacherous rocky slopes, Ethan finally reached the small temple hidden in the morning mist. Master Silas, with hair as white as silk and gentle eyes as serene as an autumn lake, was meditating under an ancient tree. Ethan bowed, pouring out all his troubles, his failures, and his burning desires. He asked the master, "Master, is there a shortest path to success? I am so weary of fruitless efforts." The Zen master did not answer immediately. He quietly stood up and led Ethan into a small garden behind the temple. He handed Ethan a clay pot and a small shiny black seed, which looked unremarkable. He gently said, "I will give you the answer, but first you must help me with something. Take this pot home and plant this seed in it. Every day, precisely in the early morning, water it yourself with 1 scoop of water. No more, no less, and do not miss a single day. 1 month from now, return here to see me." Ethan was a little bewildered. He had traveled all this way to find a great secret, a miraculous shortcut, not to become a gardener. But looking into the master's trusting eyes, he couldn't bring himself to refuse. He took the pot and the seed, promised to follow the instructions, and descended the mountain. In the first few days, Ethan carried out the task with curiosity and a glimmer of hope. Each morning he woke up, scooped a cool ladle of water from the well, and carefully watered the soil in the pot. He imagined a miraculous tree would sprout, perhaps one bearing golden fruits or precious jewels. But a week passed, then 2, and the soil in the pot remained silent, with no sign of life. Ethan's initial eagerness gradually turned into disappointment. He began to feel that this task was meaningless and time-consuming. "Just a dead seed," he muttered. "Every day I'm wasting time on an empty pot of dirt." Many times he considered throwing the pot away, out of sight. He thought about returning to the mountain and lying to the master that the plant had sprouted but then withered. But each time the thought of giving up arose, the image of the master's serene eyes and his firm instruction reappeared. "Do not miss a single day." There was something in the master's tranquility that made Ethan feel ashamed of his own impatience. He gritted his teeth, telling himself, "Just 1 month. I've already come halfway anyway. Let's see it as a final test." And so, instead of working with hope, Ethan began to work with a spirit of discipline. Watering the plant every morning was no longer an exciting task, but became a habit, an indispensable ritual to start the new day. He no longer expected a miracle. He simply did what needed to be done. And then, on the morning of the 23rd day, a miracle occurred. As the clear drops of water soaked into the soil, Ethan suddenly noticed something unusual. A tiny green speck, as delicate as a thread, had bravely pierced through the hard layer of earth to reach for the sunlight. Ethan's heart pounded. It wasn't a boisterous joy, but a profound sense of emotion, a reverence for that small yet resilient sprout. From that day on, caring for the plant became Ethan's true delight. He didn't just water it. He sat for hours watching it grow little by little. He saw the tiny sprout unfurl its first leaf, then its second. The stem gradually became sturdier, growing taller each day. The process was slow but incredibly steady. Ethan realized that during the 3 silent weeks underground, the seed hadn't died at all. It had been quietly germinating, sending its roots deep into the earth, creating a solid foundation before reaching upwards. Those very days of seeing nothing were, in fact, the most crucial days. Along with the growth of the plant, something within Ethan was also changing. He became calmer, more patient. He learned to appreciate small daily efforts. He understood that greatness is not forged from grand actions, but cultivated from countless small actions, repeated with discipline and perseverance. Exactly 1 month later, Ethan carried the potted plant, now a vibrant and lively sapling, back to the mountain peak. Master Silas smiled when he saw him. He asked nothing, simply gazed at Ethan. Ethan's eyes no longer held impatience or doubt, but shone with confidence and serenity. Ethan bowed and said, "Master, I have my answer." The Zen master nodded, pointed to the sapling and said, "The shortest path to success does not exist, Ethan. It's just like this plant. You cannot make it grow faster by watering it with 10 scoops of water a day, nor can you expect to see it grow overnight. True success is the result of planting a seed, that is your goal, and nurturing it every day with perseverance and discipline. Those are your actions. During the days when you saw nothing on the surface, that was when the most crucial foundation was being built. Many people give up at precisely this stage, the stage they call useless, simply because they cannot see the roots quietly developing." Ethan looked down at the potted plant in his hands, then reflected on the journey he had undertaken. He had finally understood the deepest lesson. The month-long journey of caring for the seed was not merely about growing a plant, but a process of self-training and transformation. It had taught him that value lies not in immediate results, but in the growth experienced throughout the process. From that day on, Ethan descended the mountain as a completely new person. He no longer sought shortcuts. He restarted his endeavors, but this time with a different mindset. He learned to draw stroke by stroke, a little each day. He rebuilt his business, starting with the smallest tasks. There were difficult days, moments of discouragement, but whenever they arose, he remembered the image of the tiny green sprout that had bravely pushed through the earth. And he knew that as long as he continued to water his efforts every day, one day, the garden of his life would surely blossom and bear fruit. And dear friend, your story is much the same. Perhaps right now, you are watering a patch of land you consider barren. Perhaps you are striving every day without seeing results. Do not lose heart. Believe that somewhere beneath the surface of silence, the roots of success are quietly taking hold, building a solid foundation for your remarkable growth in the future. Perseverance is the cool, refreshing water, and discipline is the sunlight. Just keep going, one step at a time, one day at a time. Because the greatest miracle is not success arriving overnight, but your own extraordinary transformation on the journey to that success.